Oh, your computer. That's right. I was supposed to do that, wasn't I?
No, you're chilling. We're live on the internet. Hello,
Oh,
everybody. Welcome to the Nerd Ledger. We're the nerds. I'm Cage, Dutch Chair.
chair.
Yes. My computer is shit. My internet is shit, but we are here, and I
We're
think
live.
everything is working, and I don't think there's any lag yet. So I think we're good.
We're
Hopefully.
alive. We're living.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I won't be embarrassed to link this in my Discord again. I'm just kidding. I wasn't embarrassed.
Well, it's
Things
alright.
happen.
It's okay. You don't have to use Chrome today, okay?
All right. Good. Good. Thankfully, I'm
Thankfully.
glad.
I don't know why you
Yep.
hate Chrome so much, but
Because it eats up it eats up all your RAM and your CPU when it shouldn't. Doesn't have to. Just use Firefox.
all right. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone uses Chrome these days, so
That's because it's the standard. It's because Google paid for it to be standard to install on most PCs. They pay for that. So
yeah. But a lot of people choose to install it too
Yeah. Well, whatever. Most people are wrong.
because Microsoft Edge is trash.
Yeah, that is true too.
So, anyway, welcome everybody. We are here today to talk about the season finale of The Acolyte. Sure, there's some nerd news, but it's all kind of meaningless. Oh boy, the Russos are in talks to direct Avengers 5 and 6. Okay, cool. Gotcha. They probably
Gotcha.
will because they did Infinity War and Endgame, and people love those movies. And they did Civil War and Winter Soldier, and people like those movies. So they'll probably come back if they get offered enough money. Let's be honest. So,
Yep, you're not wrong.
I mean, other ongoings. Yeah, there's stuff out there. I don't know. Comic Con that's happening. Marvel will be there at Hall H to talk about some stuff. And then they're also gonna do stuff at D23 for the animated side of Marvel, so like What If and X-Men '97 and all that stuff. So that'll be all happening within the next month. Lots of news to come. So
Announcements in 2025 for sure. Like 2024 is kind of a wash for a lot of movies and such because of the writer strike. We talked about that last year. We were talking about this exact same thing. Like we have content now, but I guarantee you we'll be in a dry spell. And we've had like the Acolyte, and then we're having Deadpool and Wolverine, and I don't know a single other thing that's coming out on my radar
you
at
know,
all.
well, not for I mean nothing for Marvel, unless you count
Yeah.
Sony, because then you got Craven the Hunter
Yeah.
in
What about Star
October.
Wars?
No Star Wars this year. You got Craven the
Yeah.
Hunter in October.
Okay.
Venom. No,
Let
no,
me let
no.
me ask
In
you. Let me
December.
ask you
In
something.
Venom in
Let me ask
October.
you
Who
something,
fucking
Cage.
knows?
Let me
Yeah.
ask you something, Cage. Do you really think anyone cares about Craven the Hunter?
No. No, I don't.
No, no. Okay, well, how did Morbius go? How'd that move? How did Morbin go? How was his Morbin time? How did that work out?
Apparently
How,
better than Madam Web.
okay, yeah. How did Madam Web work out? How did
Not
that go?
great. Not great.
Not great. Craven the
Yeah.
Hunter, is that a star? Is that a Spider-Man villain or is that a DC villain? It's a Spider-Man villain, right?
Yeah,
Is it,
yeah. But Spider-Man won't be
yeah,
in the
yeah.
movie. Don't worry.
Oof. Oh wow. Gee. Have we at the Nerd Ledger discussed previously what happens when we have Spider-Man villain movies only lacking Spider-Man? They don't work out very
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah. So I'm not gonna go see Craven the Hunter. I'm not driving up 45 minutes to go see Craven.
yeah.
We didn't do it
Well,
for Madam Web. Why would we do it for
no.
Craven?
I
Are you
mean,
gonna see it because he's like your favorite? He's like one of your favorite characters, right? So
no, he's
no.
not.
Okay.
I
Okay.
like a lot of the stories with Craven in them, but
Hmm.
Craven without Spider-Man is still just Craven, you know.
Yeah. He's just
So
some generic villain that nobody cares about from the oodles of villains. Like, why can't we have a Big Wheel Man movie? The Donkey talked about Big Wheel Man, and now everybody knows who he is. So,
don't worry. One day.
yeah, we'll see. Or
Um,
Helicopter Man. He just has a helicopter.
Sony, and we'll see if the Venom 3 is also coming out this year, and yeah, so there's those, and then the War of the Rohirrim movie.
Yeah, the
Um,
anime. That's right. The animated Lord of the Rings movie. I saw that.
Yep, the remake of The Crow, which everyone says looks dog shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's stuff coming out, but nothing like significant really. So yeah, even so Marvel, which I don't know if people really know this, but like Disney owns Hulu mostly,
Hmm.
And so they did a thing with Hulu where they were releasing like animated or claymation kind of Marvel shows.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. The frickin' brain, not brain.
yeah,
What's
so
that?
they did MODOK
Modoc. That's right. That's his name.
with
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt, and then so they were supposed to do four like years ago. They had announced like years and years ago they had announced it like they're gonna do Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I don't even know if that ever happened.
Yeah.
They were gonna do another one, and then they were gonna do Hit Monkey. And they did do Hit Monkey. They did season 1 in 2021, and then just this year, like a couple weeks ago, season 2 came out.
Was it? Is it?
Well,
Is it a cartoon?
it is a cartoon. I've only watched episode 1, and I watched it
Mm.
recently because I was like, oh shit, like I forgot this was even a thing. And episode 1 is actually really good. Like it's really good.
Mm.
So I'll probably continue to watch it. They're only like 30-minute episodes, 10 episodes a season. You know,
Yeah.
breeze through that. So, but yeah. I mean, but even that's like just shows you like what COVID and the writer strike and everything did to movies, like and TV. Like, bro, 3 years between season 1 and season 2 is kind of crazy. So
Yeah, yeah. And this year, like I said before, is a dry spell. There's a lot of Netflix shows coming out and such, and but you have to remember about Netflix is that they can like cut, they can start recording and get cut and be done in like a month, a few months. So sets are like like they're machines that just pump out content,
yeah,
especially like Bridgerton, where you can just recycle the sets from like famous locales and stuff like that. You don't really need to do any set setup. You just need to rent the area and then have the actors go there and put the cameras in place and start rolling.
I've never watched Bridgerton.
Some people really like it. So
I
that's
think
just how
people like
be.
it because like isn't there like a lot of sex in it?
Well, there's also everyone looks really fancy and everyone's really attractive, so there's that too. Like and
Okay.
everyone's like going to tea party and there's drama and all that.
Have
Kind
you
of
watched
stuff.
it?
I've watched a couple, 1 or 2
Okay.
seasons maybe.
Oh,
Don't worry about it.
isn't there like 4 seasons?
Yeah, don't worry about
So
it.
you watched about half of it?
No, don't worry about it. All right, I definitely don't have a weakness for English drama or anything like that. I
You
definitely didn't
hate
watch
English accents, or at least you
I
hate
don't
my
hate
English
I don't.
accent.
I hate your English accent.
But
You're
it's
gonna
really
go to
good.
you're gonna go to a bar and get knifed, bro. You're like you're gonna go like oi oi oi.
There's no reason to bring London's knife crime issue into this, okay?
You're gonna get knifed. You won't even be in London. You'll just be in some pub in the oldie countryside, and some old man will just walk up and start knifing you with his World War II bayonet
Yeah,
or whatever.
also, I don't sound
He
like a
hates you.
fucking seal, okay? It's just people just say oi oi, okay? That's just
That's what you do. I don't have to tell you, man. All right, you just do it.
yeah.
Anyway, though, we all know what we're here to talk about, and we have tons of exclamation points. Our thing definitely doesn't look like a kind of like the link will give you a virus on the Twitch things. The Acolyte review discussion. Spoiler warning. Click now.
Yeah.
Exclamation. For true comedic effect, you need to change some of those exclamation parts into one. By the way, that's the true comedy right there.
Into one.
Into one, the number one, because it'll be it's like you didn't hit the shift key. You're just mashing.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's how you do it. We're real professionals here at the Nerd Ledger.
Okay.
I'm
gonna
so the
lag
last
out my whole
episode-
computer typing into this fucking title.
There you go. Just crash the planet.
All right.
This
yeah.
last episode, what did you? I was on a little disappointed, to be honest with you, and I think that's mostly because Soul got screwed over. That's what
Well,
I think, and I'm a little biased now because
listen.
Soul is obviously my favorite character, and he got screwed. And I also think the dialogue was really kind of shitty, and they could have done it way better. They could have made the dialogue better.
Listen, this show has all season let itself down. And like people have all these problems that to me are like they're kind of whatever problems, because I don't know if people would care about them if the show was well written. Like I don't know. Genuinely, I don't. Like, if the show is well written, again, spoiler warning, okay, guys? If the show was well written, would people really care that you see a shadow of Plagueis in a cave? Like, if the show was well written, would people care that Osha bled the lightsaber, the Kyber crystal, right? Like, I don't know. People maybe genuinely would, and they would say, well, this is dumb. I hate the ruining this and that and the breaking canon, blah, blah, blah. None of that to me matters at all. Like, the show fails in the way that it is written and executed. Like, things happen for seemingly no reason at all. What the fuck is Basil the fucking tracker doing sabotaging the ship? Where did that come from?
Yeah. I thought that was really dumb too. Like
Like,
I thought they didn't even seem like he was panicking. Like they could have made it seem like he was panicking that Soul was flying through this asteroid field. So he like did something like to rip it out, but he didn't do that. He just like ran up. He
and
like did
yeah,
his,
and Soul didn't
and
do
then he started
anything
like
in response about it.
yeah, dude. Like
Like,
they're definitely very dumb. I hated that too. I hated that too. There's
there's
no doubt
that.
about that one.
Also, I know I'm jumping around here, but at the very end, like Kimir, the stranger, whatever, the bad guy, whatever you want to call him, like mind wipes May, but like only the significant parts that can harm them somehow in like 30 seconds, which is something he claimed right before that he doesn't know if he could even do. And it's just like if you could easily mind wipe somebody that quickly, why wouldn't they do that shit all the fucking time?
Yeah, like for the Force Mind trick is supposed to be like one of the most advanced Jedi tricks, and it's because like tricking someone's like permanently altering someone's like state of being through their mind is a very complicated thing to do. Like when you're playing Darth Revan in KOTOR 1, it takes the entire combined force of a Jedi Council to like reset your memory essentially and make you forget things. And even then, it doesn't stick because you start reconnecting to the Force naturally because you're such Revan was such a badass.
Yeah.
So it's very, I don't know. I thought it was I really did think it was kind of dumb. Like there are definitely a lot of drop balls here. I'm not gonna say that.
Well,
I'm gonna
even
say
like
overall I
the,
enjoy the series, but yeah, there's a lot of issues.
the Osha May thing, like you kind of saw it coming because in episode 3 when they do the old chant like born as two, but whatever, we're one. Well, pretty much we're one person, and like I think I talked about that last time we talked, like when we talked about episode 7, and then in this episode Soul even says you're one person, but they never explain any of that. What does that mean? How does that impact anything? Why is Osha like who dedicated her life to the Jedi and has this major connection with Soul, like she felt so betrayed that she just learned how to force choke him with her mind all of a sudden and killed him?
Yeah, exactly. Like also I feel like the Soul, like we talked about the last episode when they were like he saw that witch doing that weird shadow shit and he just naturally like reflexed with his lightsaber. Maybe he thought it was gonna go, but then when he saw that he impaled her with it, like he was like, oh wow, I just killed this woman. That was like a mistake. He obviously was full of regret and like he was surprised that he struck her with her lightsaber. And I feel like he could have expressed that better through the dialogue. I don't know. There's something to be said about him being under extreme duress, but also at the same time, I just think that the dialogue could have been more well written. Like, if he could have just explained, like, in that moment, like, I didn't know what was going on. There was so many things, and I struck forward with my lightsaber because I saw her using some kind of force magic I didn't understand, or something along those lines. And then saying, and it was a mistake, and I shouldn't have done that, and I'm sorry, like, and I apologize to you, and all that kind of stuff. And,
Yeah, which he
I
never did.
yeah, he never. No.
like all they have to do is like make a show where things make sense and you execute it well. But like even then, like I saw something, right? Like I saw somebody with this brain dead reaction pretty much saying like the show fails in so many areas and it also teaches our children that being evil is okay and it's okay to give in to hatred and it's okay to like you should embrace your bad side and all this stuff. And I was like, I didn't get that from the show at all. Like at all, but I can understand that like maybe it's just executed so poorly that that's people's takeaway. I don't know. Like they literally said anybody with a critical mind can see this. No, the show doesn't show. The show shows that people are flawed, and that like you. But it doesn't show that you can be redeemed. Like that's one of the core pillars of Star Wars is redemption. Nobody was redeemed in this. Like Soul wasn't redeemed. None of the Jedi were redeemed. They all just were painted and came across as like very flawed people, which is okay. And then at the end, like they're just like covering shit up and doing this whole Soul is the traitor who killed all the Jedi. And even though Vernestra clearly knows who Kimmer is, like they know each other, so she sensed him, and she still is like going along with this conspiracy plot that Soul is behind everything. Like,
so I have a friend looking in chat right now, and he suggested that entire dialogue she was actually talking about herself and not about Soul. Like, if you think about it.
Sure, but they do. Oh, thank you for the follow, Hack ND. Is that your friend?
That's my buddy. Yep. That's
Thanks.
my homie.
Yeah. But correct me if I'm wrong. When she was talking about like when she was telling May this whole thing, she did bring up that like May did that shit, brother. Like or not May. Fucking Soul like covered up, killing all the witches and shit. Osha and May being the same person is shown through how their characters progress. The further from the dark May goes once she learns Osha is alive and and wants to abandon Kimmer, the further Osha goes from the light and gives into her anger. Each choice one makes, the other mirrors. Well, it is an interesting point. I wouldn't say mirrors, but like it's like a yin and yang thing. Like they're two.
They juxtapose each other.
Yeah. It's like a yin yang thing where like the more good one becomes, the more evil the other becomes, and the closer to the center they get, the better. But that's not really what happens. But it's like a push pull, right? A yin yang.
Actually, now that I think about it, you remember in that episode 3 or 4 or whatever, when that really kicked off, and the twin that was the Acolyte kept running away, and then the good twin kept trying to run towards the fight while the other one kept running away. You actually think about that. That's actually pretty clever now that I think about it.
Yeah, the thing is, the greater point is, if the show was written better and executed better, that would have been more clear to people, right? Yeah. Like, and it's something that we've said from the very beginning of talking about the show. There are a lot of interesting, clever ideas and concepts in the show, and this, as a hack ND, right? Is it hack ND? Hackend?
Yeah.
Hackend?
You say hack. I usually say hack.
As Hack points out, like his interpretation of this, or his what he's seen here, is very clever, right?
Mm.
But if they executed it better, more people might have seen that. More people would have been on board with that. The thing is, most people walk away from the show going, Soul was cool, The Stranger was cool, I don't care about the twins. What did they even do in this show?
Yeah,
right?
That's a very typical Norman response. Well, that's the Norman response, and there's also the the Star Wars fan response, as we've discussed a couple times on the show.
Writer, director, Harvey Weinstein's assistant should be in jail. Sexism, racism, DEI, we hate you. You're ruining Star Wars. You shit on George Lucas's vision.
And also George
trash.
Lucas shits on his own vision. Like, we hate George Lucas as much as we hate.
Don't forget the comments. Trash, lol. Disney shills, lol. Omega, lol. You guys are fucking retards, lol. It's difficult to have a constructive conversation when your responses are just lol, dumb fuck, lol.
Yeah.
So
get Rex Grab. That's my personal favorite.
Yeah. To be fair, like there are a lot of people who do enjoy the show. There are people calling for a season 2. And
I am invested in it. I'm invested enough to want a season 2 to see what they would do with it.
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
And that's to be entirely clear. Like my view of this show is it's an interesting show that's very poorly executed and not well written. And that's really the extent of it. I don't think it's an awful show. I don't hate it. And I don't think it's a very good show, and I don't love it. It's just, it is there. I feel like there's lost potential there. But I don't hate it. And if there's a season 2, great. I don't have any qualms. I don't, like, people, they broke canon with this and this, and I don't have any, whatever, who cares? Like, Plagueis is in the show. People are either going to think that's cool, or they're going to think that's awful.
I wish they would have done more with that, actually. Like,
I
thought when those Jedi were all getting off off of that ship, that Plagueis was going to be like sitting there, and he was like going to all force neck snap them at the same time. I wish they would have fucking done that shit, dude. That shit would have been so fucking cool. They didn't, because they're cowards. They didn't murder everybody, please, all the time. Heavy metal music playing, please. Dark Sith, I'm down for it, bro.
Yeah, Hack says, I don't think the writing is awful. I think it's pacing that the show suffers from the most. None of the ideas are given time to breathe or expand. 30-minute episodes smothers any creativity, no matter the quality of writing. I do agree that the pacing is also poor, but I do think the writing is poor. Like, things happen just for seemingly no reason.
Yeah, I do think that the writing was a little bit. I just think the dialogue was a little bit weak in parts. I could probably cite specific examples, but again, like just Soul's speech, I think was such like a jumbled speech, and I know there's the argument that he's like under emotional duress at the time, but he's like a Jedi and he's supposed to look past those things and like
Sure.
supposed to speak with his feelings and
I
such like
will
that.
I will concede. All right, I'll concede to you,
Mhm.
Hack. I will concede a little bit. All right, I will say that maybe the writing appears very poor as a symptom of the pacing, right? Like because the pacing, like there's no time for anything to breathe. There's no time for anything to just sit. Um, it feels like right like we don't have the time to understand why things are happening, why characters make decisions they make, why we go from this to this to this, why the fuck Basil is sitting there fucking destroying the ship for no apparent reason,
Yeah.
right? If there was
Yeah,
more
see,
time.
hack the why did Basil sabotage? Yeah, that was so dumb. Like
Yeah,
I
he
was sitting
said the
there
only
through I literally
writing. He said the only writing I
yeah.
truly disagree with was why the Badger ate the wires in the chase scene. Why does Basil sabotage? Makes no sense. That's my biggest complaint. Yeah, just
But
like
I feel like again this is because of the writing, but not only the writing and the dialogue, but the script writing. Script writing, right? Basil walks into cockpit, sees that Soul is in chase, turns around. They should have put Basil walks into compact and into cockship in a panic because the ship is in the middle of a fucking asteroid field. He looks over and he sees Soul like just chasing the ship and going psycho like through these asteroids. There was no emotion displayed in Basil, like he wasn't freaking out or anything like that. He just came in, he did that little thing where he jostles his feet, he made his dumb little noise, and then he just tore out some fucking wires and he left. And Soul just like looks over his shoulder like what? What?
and then he pops up again to go track the twins at the end.
It's
Like
so stupid. He was the most used, like the dumbest character out of all of them. I think was Basil, dude. Like just the ultimate like plot. He was like a living plot device so that they could walk themselves out of corners. I just hated that.
uh
I hated. Yeah, dude.
yeah, Hack says he was a pretty useless character altogether. The Jedi are shown to find the twins through the Force anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I
They
mean,
just you need to. Why don't they have a show that where the Jawa is the main character? That's all I want to know. Let's
yeah,
make a Jawa. Dude. If they made
a
a show
Jedi
about
Jawa.
no, if they made a show about of Jawas going around screwing people over with their shitty
Oh
fucking
yeah,
droids, like
yeah.
everyone would watch it. Like 20-minute episodes, like just pure comedy. Oh, dude, that would be so fucking
It's,
bad.
well, I mean, like it's one of my favorite parts of season one of The Mandalorian is he's just like
It's the
pursuing the
Jawas,
fucking
dude.
Jawas.
Jawas, dude. They fucking shit all over him. They triple ion storm him, and he fucking falls over like a chump. And they're
Yeah.
laughing at him as they leave. And they're
Okay,
just like,
but something we do need to talk about because people are gonna say, and people have already said, "Oh, well, Plagueis, this is so dumb. Plagueis gets the idea to make Anakin from the twins, from their conception." Like, let's break this all down real quick. First of all, it's not that. So the twins themselves weren't the virgins. There's a virgins on the planet which allowed Anastasia to create the twins. That's what is explained in this episode, episode 8. Soul pretty much says there's a virgins here which allowed this to happen. Second of all, there's no canon that says Plagueis created Anakin Skywalker. That's not a thing. Like people might think it's a thing because it was referenced or alluded to in a comic or in a book. It didn't. There's no canon to that.
yeah,
If they make it canon in a season 2 where Plagueis gets the idea to create Anakin using the Force, I will think that's fucking stupid.
yeah.
Like the Force created Anakin.
I saw that someone suggested in the second season the twins are gonna like conform, like they're gonna meld into the Force, and they're like gonna go impregnate Shmi or whatever the fuck. I heard someone suggest that, and if they do that, that'll be one of the most funny fucking things I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. I will be laughing my freaking ass off.
Yeah, Hack says my interpretation was Plagueis is the one who gave the knowledge to the witches to do that in the first place. In episode 3, Anastasia was giving a speech about how they were given this gift. That could be true. Also, him being on the same planet as Kimmer, Kimmer having the ability to get into people's minds the same way the witches did. Potentially, he was taught that same skill from Plagueis. Right? This is how we.
Kimmer made that helmet to keep Plagueis out.
No, he made the helmet to keep the Jedi out.
Jedi.
I think to keep because he wasn't wearing the helmet, which is how Vernestra was able to
To find him. Okay.
So that's why
Your
he
dialogue's
has
cutting
the
out.
helmet.
Oh, you're back. Uh oh.
All right.
It's back. The lag's back.
The encoding is broken.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that bad of a delay. Oh, it's like 4 or 5 seconds. This is shit.
We'll keep him carry on too. It's funny. I can hear when it happens. I don't know I don't know what disconnected that made it like laggy. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the fucking encoding, I think, because it's like encoding in Discord and then it has to encode in OBS as well, and so just yeah. But I think it's not so bad that we can't talk. So
yeah, at least for the next 30 minutes or so.
Yeah. But yeah, I think maybe Plagueis is the link between all these groups of people, to be honest, in some way, shape, or form, where, because we had talked about in episode 5, I think it was, when the stranger shows up and, like it seems like he's familiar somehow with Soul. And then like he's also, like they mentioned, he can get in your mind. And Osho is like, oh, my mom could do that. Like maybe Plagueis taught not only Kimmer this stuff, but the witches like these things. Who knows? Because there will be like, obviously the rule of 2 is still an important thing. And so who knows, right? But like people are already coming to conclusions that like this ruins things and it destroys canon and like it's gonna, Plagueis was only like 20 years old during this at most because his approximate date of birth and
Even though it was already discussed, though, the Plagueis was extending his life through unnatural means, right? That was already like a thing that was happening. Like he already discovered that process.
Yeah. Hack says if Plagueis does have the power to create life and is tied to Anakin in any fashion, it makes sense that he'd at least test the power first, and it did fail. Creating life that gets split into 2 halves, he learns from the failure and creates one that embodies both. Potentially, right? Because Anakin has both good and bad in him, whereas as Hack pointed out, which is a very good point, Osha and May are complete opposites, where one is very good and one is very bad, and the more they become better or worse, the other has the opposite effect, which is a very interesting point. Also, one of the parts, listen, when I talk about bad writing, May in episode 3 literally saying, I'm going to kill you. Like, let's be honest, that's not great. It's not great. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But also the power of many thing. Come on, that's bad writing. Let's be honest.
Power of
at least
one. The power of 2.
Maybe not bad writing.
The
It's bad.
of many.
It's bad execution. It's bad execution.
Well, you
they
were, like,
should have just
doing
made
the
it a
song-
chant.
You were doing the songwriting thing in here live when you did that, and I thought the way you put it sounded way better. And it's just
Just make it a chant.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's all you had to do.
That's all you had to do.
Yeah, I mean, this is the beautiful thing about storytelling and art in its many forms is like, if you don't talk about it, you never get these other perspectives, right? And I'm sure Hack will provide these perspectives to people who will just tell him he's a moron and he's a Disney shill or whatever. But I think it's incredible to have other people's interpretations, and I'm open to them. And yeah, if I rewatch parts of the show, which I probably will because my wife hasn't watched episode 7 or 8 yet, so I'll probably watch it with her. You view it from that perspective and you go, wow, that's very clever, or it might make you enjoy it more, or you might go, yeah, I can understand that, but I don't see that at all and I don't agree with it, right? Hack also says she didn't say that in the true vision in episode 7 she didn't threaten Osha or mean to set the fire like episode 3 showed. I think it was a false memory of Osha through trauma, but that is not explored or shown well, so bad writing is still a valid answer. Yeah, I did notice that too. In every revisit to that scene, she doesn't say it anymore. And so it's important to understand the perspective that you're seeing in episode 3 versus episode 7. And to me, episode 3 is the perspective of Osha, whereas episode 7 is the perspective of the Jedi. But which Jedi, I don't know. Because you do get other parts of that story where the Jedi aren't involved.
Mm.
But you're seeing it from a different point of view, essentially. So yeah, I don't know if I can say it was a false memory, but these are always very interesting ways to think about things, right? Like, um, certain stories are told from certain people's points of view, which aren't always reliable.
Yeah.
Uh, like the unreliable narrator is a very classic trope in writing, and uh, I think it is interesting to think about things that way. It doesn't necessarily make it better or okay or whatever, but it's another way to think about it. And again, like anybody who's listening to us or whatever that is like, oh, you can blah, 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 blah. It's okay if you just want to hate things. But I think this is always very important to just hear how other people view things. I think it's really cool.
Mm. Yeah, no, I think I think the show as I'm glad the show was made. I'm glad the show exists. I'm glad the show that was like public, made public on Supergirl. That was Supergirl, right? That just got shuttered away in like the freaking warehouse, never to be seen. Wasn't there a show that got was it a movie or a show?
A
Supergirl, right?
Supergirl show
Yeah, they got like
that lasts
shuttered
like
away.
six
Like
seasons.
no, wasn't there a Supergirl movie or something like that? I could have sworn they had like a show that they just like, okay, this is so bad, we need to put this away and never ever show it or something like that, or Spider Girl, something like that.
So well, you might be talking
Or no, it
about
was Batgirl. Batgirl. It was Batgirl, right?
oh, okay.
Yeah.
The movie that that was supposed to come out on HBO, and then like they just like scrapped the entire thing and just stopped making it, even though it was pretty much done.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm
Yeah,
glad it didn't get.
I'm sure
I'm
people would
glad
have
it
liked
didn't
to
get
see
that
it,
treatment.
but
I'm glad it didn't get that treatment.
yeah. Yeah. Hack says, I put this show in the same category as the Kenobi show. A lot of good ideas, themes, scenes bogged down with poor pacing and some questionable writing. They succeed and fail in the same ways. Yeah, I think that's a great comparison because Obi-Wan had some very good episodes and some very meh episodes. And it's the same kind of thing. The writing lets it down in some ways. The pacing is another issue. And to be honest, this is a complaint Chair and I have had about most Disney Plus shows, is the pacing is really bad. Almost
Because
always.
this show structure that's so like randomized, it sucks so bad. 12 episodes, 11 episodes, 8 episodes, 6 episodes, 14 episodes. Like it's so stupid, man. Like I think the TV formula of 21 episodes was great, and I think that they need to figure out do some budget magic to get back to that. With 20-minute episodes or something like that. I just feel like that more time. You need more time to tell these stories because we talked about this last episode. There's so many characters involved. There was Master Soul. There was this Plagueis is there. He wasn't very present the entire time, but he's there. There's Master Soul. There's Plagueis in the Shadow and the Influence. There was the twins. There was the rest of the Jedi on Coruscant doing their own thing. There was the true master guy. I keep forgetting his name. Like the really hot dude. With a big lanky arm. He looks like he
Yeah.
choked the
The
shit out
the
of you. And you like
stranger.
it. Yeah, the stranger. Yeah, dude. Like he was being super hot the entire time, and maybe questioned my sexuality. There's that little beaver dude. Even if we all hated him, like there were these cool planets. There was a lot of cool things. Like, and there was the entire witch council. There was the two mothers that were squabbling and quabbling over what their daughters truly wanted, and all this kind of stuff. And there's just 7 episodes, like 8 episodes, right? 8 episodes or 7? I can't remember because I'm too
Is
scatterbrained.
a yeah.
Okay, 8 episodes, 40 minutes per. That's just not enough time to juggle all of this shit you got going on. Especially with like a galaxy spanning story like this involving the Jedi when they're literally everywhere. It's the High Republic, right? So they're like on every single planet, always enforcing the peace all the time. There's a lot of moving parts, and I just feel like too, like the world building could have been done a little bit better, like maybe with some Jedi like help. It's just all that kind of stuff, you know, like more Jedi like doing things out in the world, like we saw them doing things. Like I just don't.
Yeah, the flashback episodes to me should have been more intercut with the present. Like
Mm.
it would have helped a lot. Like you're allowed to sit with things a little bit. You're not just like it's not just like pardon the interruption as we break to show you something that happened 20 years ago and whatever. Here you go. And then next week we'll come back to the thing you watched 2 weeks ago and pick up from there. It's like, well, thank you, but I was interested in the thing that happened 2 weeks ago, and now I'm questioning why I'm still watching this show. So
I like the lightsaber fights. That's why I'm watching it.
yes.
To be honest with you, there's that.
People
like the
people
lightsaber
seemed
fights.
people seem mad about the crouching tiger hidden dragon fights choreography in this last episode. You know, the slow mo doesn't always work well.
Fuck those people. Force Kung Fu is badass, man. I want more Force
Yeah,
Kung
it's
Fu
still
all
cool.
the time, dude.
Still cool.
It's so, dude. I want to have like Mace Windu, like in that, and Jendar Tarkovsky's or whatever the fuck his name was, like cartoony out of the Clone Wars, where fucking he just drill fisted the super battle droid. I want that all the time. I want to see that all the time. I just want to watch Jedi going Kung Fu on people all the fucking time, and they won't give it to me. They give it to me.
Well,
we have the CGI now, guys.
Can't have everything. So
I want to have it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I don't know how much more there is to say, really. Like,
well, now overall impressions of the overall impressions of the series, I guess, because we spent most of the time rambling about the last episode. So, like, you know, I think for the seasons, I think it all kind of works together. I feel like that flashback episode was really out of place, and they should have had that in the very beginning, so you could be more sympathetic towards the twins and their plight. I just think that it wasn't handled very well. The pacing was off. But overall, I don't know. There's something charming about the show that I really enjoyed. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I was excited to get home and watch it on Wednesday nights. Like it just like
yeah,
the building and the sets, like, you know, when Osha was walking on that beach and there were just those random like alien creatures like squawking at her, you know, like and they were puppets. They weren't CGI. They were puppets. The show felt very Star Wars, and I think that needs to be said too. Like it felt very very Star Wars.
We also didn't talk about the Yoda back of the head puppet cameo.
That was cool. That was
yeah. I mean, people are gonna be mad about that too, but
his fucked up hair.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. Really, the entire flashback episodes are what hold the show back the most, and I think like they did it because in their minds, like we're gonna set up this show to have these big reveals, but none of the reveals ever felt that big. Nothing ever made me go, oh, like they almost choreograph them to try to make them obvious.
Interjecting really quick with some news, but it appears that the Halo show has been canceled. They're not being renewed for a third season.
After 2 seasons?
I heard the second season was actually pretty good. So, like, some people say it was actually doing pretty good. So, I guess they didn't want to go forward with it. Anyway, please continue. Sorry, I just wanted to put that out there.
No, yeah. Yeah, just to me, like, they executed the show in a way where it felt like they wanted the reveals to be massive, like, and shock people. And they just didn't. They weren't that surprising. Like, everything was very predictable or choreographed. So they should have just. There are ways to write the show to where you build things better, you pace things better. Like, I don't even know if the issue is that it was only 8 episodes and they needed more. Like, I think it's just that they dawdle in the wrong places and they don't execute it correctly, and that leaves you feeling sometimes like a little disappointed. And I don't even think the show is bad. I just don't think it was very good. Hack chimes in again. He says, I feel like they wanted to make the Jedi mishaps on Brendok darker, but Disney, whoever, wouldn't let them go too far with making Jedi look bad, so a lot of people don't even see Soul did anything wrong. No, Soul absolutely did things wrong. Like, he to the point where, again, because maybe the pacing or whatever, people question, like it to a lot of people, it doesn't make sense, his actions. I think some of them make sense. I don't think it makes sense that he like cared about these kids he's never met to like take them away from their people and their culture to train to be Jedi, because Jedi don't really do that. Like they do take kids, but like they go in and they test them and whatever. It's not like, oh, I'm concerned about their safety. I need to be a social worker right now and do an assessment and see if they're safe and make sure they have a bed to sleep in, and make sure they're taken care of and are being fed, because I am CPS now, not a Jedi.
Yeah. So
it's just kind of how it feels a little bit, like the just. And I like Soul a lot. It's just okay. Well, some of that writing feels weird. Like, oh, I'm concerned, guys. I'm concerned about these twins. Like, they might be involved in some dark shit, guys. Like, I wish they would have explored some of those ideas
I
more.
do think someone Hackwood said too, thinking about that. Remember, what was that one Jedi guy who was meditating and was using the Force to like block everyone?
Torben.
Corbin, right? And I talked about last
Torben.
time we talked. I talked about how much I appreciated Corbin as a character, because I just think that he translated the trauma very well, and I just think that too, like that there was a scene where Corbin's head was smashed against a wall and it showed blood. So maybe that does like credence the idea that maybe they wanted to go deeper and darker with it, and Corbin would have gone on like a killing spree or something like that, and like cut down a couple witches or something. Maybe I don't know, but
Yeah, Torben absolutely seemed like the hot-headed guy who was like he just wanted to go home and he was ready to just do whatever it took to get home. Like,
yeah, exactly.
For sure. Similar to what Hack is saying about Soul, you say Soul was, in my opinion, high on his own righteousness. He was so adamant he was right and doing the right thing that he invaded other people's lives and homes like a need to be the White Knight. And yeah, I got that as well. It's just like, I don't know if they like it felt properly motivated. Hey, but for me, it's like a 6 out of 10 show. Season 1.
I give it a 7 because I like the lightsaber fights, and again, I like the world building. I really liked when they had some stuff like when they had like just the sets with the aliens in costumes walking around, and like all the little props in the background and shit. I really like that shit. I worked in the I was in the prop department in school at our in our theater forever. Like right, like I kept taking classes and I would just go work on props all day. I didn't even take like the theater classes I was supposed to. So I really like that shit. All the paper mache and all that kind of stuff is really fun. So I really appreciate it when it takes time, and it also, addition to it taking time, it takes a lot of time to do right. So I really just appreciate all of those things, and they didn't just slap a bunch of CGI. The one CGI that was present in the show looked like, even if like, that asteroid chase and like the ring chase ended in a really stupid way, it did look really cool when it was happening.
That looked cool, but the shots of Coruscant always looked pretty bad. And the ship docking in like a couple episodes ago also looked pretty bad. But yeah, so Hack says 6 to 7 is fair. Something I would implore people to do, especially with shows like this. I know it's really hard, and you don't have to do it. Nobody has to do anything I say, okay, guys? I'm just saying. Something I would really implore you to do is not like to look at a show or a series or a story in the context of that story. Like, yes, it's part of Star Wars, and you want to put it in the greater context of Star Wars, but it's really easy to get lost in that ocean and be like, oh, does this jive with canon? There's a Topps card from 2000 that says that Ki-Adi-Mundi was born. He wasn't born yet, so this is terrible. Like, okay, we get it. It's Star Wars. You want to do all these things and be like, oh, how does it jive with the greater world of Star Wars and the vision of George Lucas? Fine, you can do that, but make that a secondary priority and make your primary priority to look at things in the context of the show and the series. And that's where they should live. Yes, it's part of a greater world and it has a place in that greater world, but what are we being shown? What is the story being told? Does that make sense? Does it work on its own? Does it stand on its own feet as its own thing? That's important too. And I think that's primarily what's important.
Yeah.
So, also, Hack, if you ever want to, hop in the conversation, we can always get you on Discord. you're always welcome. I'm
Mm.
sure Chair has you as a friend. So,
Yep.
but yeah, you're always welcome to hop in whenever you want. We're
We
probably
love
not today
shooting the
because we're
shit.
gonna finish in like 2 minutes. But
And I gotta go run Rebel Hoth. I gotta get my snow speeder ITV. You don't know what that is, Cage, but Hack probably does. So,
yeah,
yep.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You don't have to listen to anything we say. Uh, but Hack says, appreciate that. I love Star Wars in discussion, so I'd be down in the future. Yeah, absolutely. We talk about Star Wars quite often, so you're always
Yes.
welcome. And Chair
Orig-
can coordinate with you. So
the original name was Across the Stars because
yeah,
it was Star Wars only back when there was tons of Star Wars content coming out all the time, and now there is none. So we had to
yeah,
switch to the Third Ledger so it could be more relevant to our
yeah,
two viewers, which is
absolutely.
me, myself, and now you, Hack. You're trapped here with us forever, forever,
Okay, well,
forever.
that's
Okay,
it's not true. You can do whatever you want.
it's a free country,
So,
unfortunately, for better or for worse. If you have enough money, it's a free country. Let's say that.
oh yeah. Also, we're not going to talk about at all really what happened. But I will say there's no place for political violence in this world, and
Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah. Don't shoot
yeah,
at people if you disagree with them. It's not the right thing to do. It's how we get into like
yeah,
wars and shit. And I don't want to go to war
yeah,
because
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
get
yeah,
shot and I'll die, and I
yeah,
won't be able to smoke weed and play
yeah.
video games anymore if I'm dead. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
people will disagree with you. Also, this whole thing about political rhetoric on either side being the cause of anything or not, stop all that. Like people say incendiary things. It doesn't mean that people don't have their own brains and make their own decisions. Okay, like stop. Like things should unite us that don't unite us. They tear us further apart, and it makes us look weak. And this is why other countries, saying so.
Yeah.
Let's just not wish death on people and take their lives into our hands. That's just not okay. So anyway, it doesn't matter if you agree with people or not. You should not wish death on them, and you should not try to kill them, no matter who they are or what they believe in. So anyway, on that note, unless you're OSHA and you find out that Soul has murdered your mom and lied about it for like 16 years, then apparently it's okay to murder him.
And one of the worst
But it's
ways
not.
too, by
It's
choking
not.
him to death and then snapping his neck at the last moment.
And then being reassured that it's okay. It's okay.
Yep, yep.
You can
And then
kill me.
you get
It's
a
all right.
fancy red lightsaber in a scene that admittedly looked really, really fucking cool. So
Yeah. Yeah. So
I didn't even know what that
anyway,
was until Hack actually explained it to me when we were talking about it earlier today. What bleeding lightsaber crystal was, whatever the
oh
fuck. I knew the lightsabers. I knew
yeah.
like kyber crystals are like living things, but I thought like they choose they choose you, they pick you.
Well, people are mad about it because like OSHA bled the crystal in like seconds or whatever, and like
Mm.
when you first see a kyber crystal get bled, I think it's in a comic book. Like it takes a long time. Like you have to like learn how to do it, and people are like, "This is just ruining things." And I made the argument the same with like the mind wipe thing, like but like that's actually potentially problematic. Whereas like bleeding a kyber crystal, when you're at the most angry and hurt and betrayed you've ever felt, that makes a little more sense than just being able to mind wipe someone in 30 seconds and only take away the things that could potentially hurt you, not anything else.
Yep.
So, yeah. Anyway, thank you, anyone who's listened, who's tuned in, who's whatever has an opinion. Much appreciated to Hack for contributing and giving us lots of different ideas and perspectives, because that's very important. And it I think it made the conversation much more interesting than it would have been. So, much appreciated. Chair, you want to say bye? You want to say anything?
Subscribe and follow and comment so I can live in a mansion with TikTokers before World War III, so I can live in LA off of DoorDash gift cards. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Legions of Doom
Bye.
fans. Bye. Get me off the
Bye,
internet.
everyone.